Before we get started, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the notification bell icon. Hello everyone, this is Sandeep from Tutorial Brain, and hopefully this is going to be the last video in this brackets tutorial series. Now, some of you who has joined just now or who has not seen the previous videos, I'd request you can go back and watch those videos first and then come back here. So in this video, we are going to talk about debugging in brackets. Now, debugging is a very important concept in any code editor, right? Now, there can be any issues while working with brackets. For example, sometimes installation will fail. So if you are trying to install a theme or if you're trying to install an extension and if it shows some errors, then first you go back and see whether that extension is installed or not. Sometimes what happens is, even though it shows some errors, but a particular extension or plugin is installed, but somehow it shows some errors. Or sometimes it is genuine error. So what you can do is you can try to reinstall this, or there are a lot of other options which we will be seeing here. Sometimes this live preview button does not work. So if you just click on this live preview, it will fail. Okay. So in that case, what you can do is you can just go to file and you can just enable this experimental live preview, or if it is already enabled, then you can just disable it and then you can try this. Or sometimes you can just refresh your brackets code editor. So if you just go to debug, you see that we have an option to reload with extensions and reload without extensions. So you can just click on this, that is reload without extensions, and if the live preview works, that means there is a problem with your extension, right? Or it might be a possibility that there is no problem with the extension, but you have set the path incorrectly. For example, we have this project settings, right? And if you are using a PHP project, so it is mandatory that you have to set this live URL. And sometimes what happens is, if you're working on one project and suddenly you switch to other projects, then live preview stops working. Okay. So in that situation, what I do is I'll just do a refresh of my brackets. So I'll just give F5, and if you just come here, you can also do it from here. So if you just give F5, it will reload again with all the extensions. And if you just want to reload without extensions to debug if that issue is related to extensions, you can just do that as well. Now, there are sometimes problem related to page loading. For example, a particular page will not load, or you might have a problem like you have a very big file. So I remember in one of the project, I was working for e-commerce project, and basically that project file was too large. And what I felt is like brackets was taking a longer time to load. So if you have a problem with the brackets running slow, then in that case, again, you have to close the brackets code editor and again open it, right? So that is the best way to stop that. Sometimes you might get some problem with your local web server if you're working on PHP. So whatever local web server or whatever server you're using, say if you're working on XAMPP or if you're using WAMP or MAMP, whatever local web server you're using for PHP coding, what you can do is you can just stop it and then restart it again. If you do that, sometimes that problem with the local web server gets resolved, right? So these are all the methods through which you can solve some problems, or you can just do debug in brackets. Now, if you just come back here to help, there is an option here that is bracket support, and the shortcut is F1. Now, in most of the code editor, this F1 is for help, right? And in brackets also, this shortcut will lead you to brackets help. So if you just click here on this F1, on this bracket support, or just press F1 in your keyboard, it will lead you to this brackets help. In fact, this will be like a wiki page for brackets troubleshooting. Now, suppose there is a problem, like say if you're working here, and if I just go to debug and say if I just show you this developer tools, okay, what happens is in brackets we have an inline developer tool where it will open this developer tool inside the brackets itself. So this is a very good feature in brackets. And if you have any issues, you can just go to console and you can just check for errors. So here at this moment, I can see that there are some 4 errors, right? and it is basically related to shortcuts. So it clearly says that Control Alt B cannot be assigned to emit because it is already assigned to beautify. So what happens is I'm using two plugins, that is, this is beautify and I'm also using a plugin called emit. So this is the plugin which I'm using, this is emit, and another plugin is beautify. So sometimes what happens is if you install too many plugins, then there can be some assignment conflicts related to shortcuts. So in that case, what I do normally is I'll just go to this debug and then I'll just go to show developer tools, or I'll just press F12 in my keyboard. Okay, and this will also lead to this particular location, and I'll just go to console and check for the errors. But sometimes what happens is like the error is not very clear. Now in that case you have to do more debugging, right? But in this case, since the error is very clear that this is a problem with the extension, so what I'll do is I'll just reload without extensions. So if I just click on this particular link, that is reload without extensions, then I can just check whether that particular issue is resolved or not. If that issue is resolved, that means the problem was with extensions, right? So let me just see here, and if I just go to debug and click on show developer tools, and if I just click on console, you see that that error is gone. And the problem was that a particular shortcut was already assigned to a plugin or extension called beautify, and once we install another plugin, for example in this case I have installed emit, and emit is a very powerful plugin. So if we install emit, then that particular shortcut cannot be assigned to emit, which emit is expecting. So that was the problem. Now if it is a minor error, like if I don't use that particular shortcut, then I would hardly be bothered. So I can again go back and I can just enable this. So I'll just say like reload with extensions, because I'm comfortable with that error because I'm not using that particular shortcut maybe. Or if I'm very adamant to use that particular shortcut, then what I can do is I'll just disable my other plugin, that is beautify. Or if I want to use beautify but not emit, I can just disable that emit. So how to disable that, I think I have already covered, but I'll just show you here as well. So if you want to disable a particular extension, you can just click on this install button, and from here, suppose I want to disable this emit, so I'll just click on this disable, and let me just close it. So I'll just click here, press F12, and if I just go to console, you see that now the error is gone. So that means the problem was with emit, right? So let me just show you another way. So first let me just enable that emit. Okay, so I'll just say emit, and let me just enable it. Reload it again. So if I just press F12 and if I just go to console, I can see that those errors are there because I have enabled the emit plugin. Now if I don't want to disable it from here, there is another way. So what I can do is I can just go to the place where all my extensions are installed. So you have to go to the place where this particular code editor is installed. So if I just click on this show in Explorer, and if I just come to this particular brackets, and just come here, I think it is brackets. So normally by default brackets will be installed in C program files, and then inside that we have brackets. Now here you have to check for your extensions. Okay, and let us click on this samples, and again see here we have lot of files. So these are all sample files. So again, if you want to explore further, you can just have a look here. So if you see, by default all these files are present under this sample file. So let me just show you again. So if I just go to this particular location, that is sample, root, and then getting started. So this is the default folders and files. When you download brackets, that is what you get, right? Now let me just come back here, and if I don't want to disable any extension from this extension manager, what I'll do is I'll just go to help, and here I have a feature that is show extension folder. So if I just click on this particular link, so it will go to this particular location. So here, if you have disabled any extension, that will go to this disabled folder. So if you click here, it will show that folder. In this case, there is no folder which is disabled. And if you just click on this user, you'll see that we have all these folders. I mean all these extensions which are installed. Now suppose I'm working in Emmet, right? So the first way what I can do is cut this and then I'll put this in disabled folder. So in that way, this particular plugin or extension will be disabled. So let me just go to debug and then reload with extensions. So in a way, what I have done is I have disabled this extension, but I have not disabled it through this extension manager. Rather, I have just gone to this show folder, right? So it is here, so extension folder, and then from there I have disabled it. Now let me just press F12, and I think this error should not be there. And yes, you see here in console I'm not having any errors, right? And then I'll just show you another thing here. So in brackets we have a preference file. Okay, in fact I have shown you also what is preference file. Let me just reiterate it again. So if you just go to debug, you see that there is an option to open preference file. If I just click here, so you see that it has two files, right? One is default preference.json. So this is the read-only file, and the other file we have is brackets.json, and this is the file where you can edit it. So it contains the preference which you are having in your brackets code editor at this moment. So the current preferences are saved in this particular file, that is brackets.json. Now if you have any issues or if you want to modify this file, you can just edit this file directly here. And please remember that this file, that is the default side file, that means like default preference.json, this file is only read only. So if you try to change it, for example, if you try to add something, you see it is not working, but you can edit the file which is brackets.json. So you can edit this file as per your requirement, and if you want to add any property, you can add it here, or if you want to delete any property, you can delete it here, or in case if you want to reset any property, you can do it here. In a way, this preference file is very important, and any changes which you will do here will automatically change the settings in your brackets code editor as well. So suppose I want to change the font size. Okay, so first let me just see where is the font size. Okay, so let me just give so here you can see that this particular font size is 26, right, by default. Now if you want to change this font size, let's do one thing. First let me just go to debug and let me just reload without extensions, just to show you properly. So if I just do that, because basically when you work on brackets, initially you will not be having any extensions. So by default you can see that the font size is 26 here, right? And there are some other properties which are mentioned here. So these are the properties which you will get by default when you install your brackets code editor, right? So let me just come up, and for example, let's say I just search for say font size, right? And I can see that it is having 4 places, and then it is brackets underscore font colon true. So let's do one thing. If I just change this font size from 26 to say 50, and if I just save, you notice that this particular font has changed, right? So if I just change it back to 26, for example, let me just, I think there is a problem with the cursor, it is not able to take this. So the other way is that manually I'll just reduce the font. So I'll just give control minus minus. So you see that if I just press control minus minus in this file, that is brackets.json, the font size is automatically getting changed. So what I'm doing is I'm just pressing control and then minus in my keyboard. If I keep on pressing that, you see that this particular font size is getting reduced. And if I just give control plus plus, you see that this font size is getting increased, and that particular value is also getting updated in this particular file. So whatever changes you will do in your code editor, that will automatically change in this particular file, and whatever changes you will do in this file will automatically change in your code editor as well. And also one important point is, like, sometimes you may want to create a custom preference file for some of the project. Say if you're working on this project and you switch to some other project, say if you switch to this project, that is brackets PHP, and if you want to create a custom preference file, then you can create a new file. So what you can do is you can just create a new file with the name as .brackets.json. It is very important to create the file name as .brackets.json, and whatever changes you will do here, that is whatever changes you will do to your .brackets.json file, it will override the changes, or it will override the preferences of your default brackets.json file. And in case if you want to create your own custom keys, then you can just go to debug, and then you can just open this, that is open user key map. And if I just go to this particular documentation, okay, so let me just open this documentation. So you can see that you can set up your own custom keys, but there are some exceptions as well. For example, some special words or some special commands are there, or some reserved keywords are there, which has some special meaning. So you cannot override those. But apart from that, you can override the shortcuts, and you can create your own user key map. So if you are interested in this, you can just read this. So basically, if you just come back here to your brackets code editor, you see that here the list of commands you can just give. For example, here you can just give the command name, for example key, and then what is the command you want with that key. So suppose if you want that for quick edit, by default the shortcut is Control E. Now if you just want to change that, what you can do is you can just come here to this particular link, that is user key bindings, and then there is a link, like all the command IDs are present in this file. So just click here, and if you just come down, and if you want the quick edit feature for that particular command, I'll just search here quick edit, right? So this is the particular feature, that is the command is navigate.toggle quick edit. So I'll just copy this. Okay, let me just copy this, and I'll just come here. So basically I'll just paste it here, and I'll just give the inverted comma. So let me just do one thing. Let me just delete it from here and paste it here. And what is the key for which you want this particular command to execute? So say this time I don't want Control E, I just want, say for example, F8. So what I'll do is I'll just press here, that is F8, okay, and I'll just give colon. And if you just save it, so let me just save this file, that is keymap.json. Now if I just come back to my file, for example, let's say if I am there in index.php. Now if I just try to do, let me do one thing, it is showing some error with the preferences. So let me do one thing. Let's go back to this folder. Let's do one thing, let's open this file, that is test123.html, and let me just go to no split mode, and say I want to go to quick edit. So if I just give Control E now, you notice if I just give Control E, it is not giving me anything because I have removed that particular shortcut. Now if I just give F8 in my keyboard, so if I just press F8, you see that it has opened this particular shortcut here, I mean quick edit feature here, right? Let me just press escape. So basically what I have done is, if you notice, where is that file? Yeah, this is the file, that is keymap.json. So basically the format is like you have to just give the key name, for example key, and you just have to give the command ID. Okay, so I'll just mention it here. So this is what the format is. So if I just remove this, so this is what the format, key name with command ID. And suppose you want to give multiple key names, then you can just give a comma here, and let me just copy this and let me just give V, or you can just give Control D to duplicate. Okay, so let's say this is command name 1, this is command name 2, this is command name 3, and let's say command name 4, 5, and then 6, and you can just give the command ID here. So to get all the command ID, you just have to come to this particular link. Okay, so this particular link contains all the command ID. Based on that particular command ID and then key name for that particular command, you can just define it here, right? At end, you don't have to give comma because that is the end, and further there is no key. So this is how you can change this keymap.json to create custom keys. So thanks for joining, and I have shown the entire brackets tutorial from start. So in case if you have any doubts, do log on to our website, that is tutorialbrain.com, and there you can just follow about brackets tutorial. So leave a comment below if you have any question. I will try to answer it. So thanks for watching it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Take care. Bye.